Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So this is actually part 2 of a series that I did. So for the first video, I showed you how to make the shorts, and for this video, I will show you how to make this cute robe blazer type jacket. So if you are interested in seeing how I created this look, definitely keep watching. Okay, so these are the measurements that you are going to need to get started, and I also show you just in picture form how to capture those measurements. So this is the neck to waist measurement, mine was 14.5. This is the bust measurement, mine was 34, so this is just for demo. My arm length was 22 inches, and then my neck circumference was 13.5. So the first line you draw will be the bust measurement times 0.25 plus 1.5. So for me that was 34 times 0.25 plus 1.5. So it gave me a measurement of 10 inches. So that's how wide your panels will be for the front and back. The second line here that I'm drawing is my waist measurement, neck to waist measurement plus however long I wanted my robe to be. So for me that was 14.5 inches for my neck to waist measurement plus 9.5, so that was a total of 24 inches. And so here I am just closing up that rectangle. So this is just our front panel. Okay, so here I am actually adding a little bit, and so that was what gave me the 24 inches in total, because I realized that I wanted my robe to be kind of cropped, but I was making it a little too short. So again, that line was a total of 24 inches. Now we are going to create our second rectangle, so that would be the sleeve. So as you can see, I'm just continuing straight across from that first line, and ultimately you want your line in total to be your arm length measurement. So my sleeve is just a continuation of the robe, and as you can see I'm also going down, so that would be my width, which is that second line. So mine I believe was 8 inches. You can make yours however wide you want. And then I will just go ahead and close up that rectangle as well. So to create your neckline, you are actually just going to mark 2 inches on that first line that you drew, so the line at the very top, 2 inches away from the left, and you are going to connect that mark all the way down to the waist seam. And as you can see, I'm just getting rid of that little triangle because we're going to cut that part off, because your neckline of your robe will create a nice V shape. Moving on to the back panel now, you are just going to take those first 2 measurements that we used to create the front panel, and as you can see I am just drawing that out. So I believe mine was 10 inches by 24 inches, but again that would be whatever your width times length was for your front panel. And again I'm just marking the waist as well. Okay, so for that center back neckline, we are actually going to mark across, but this time 3 inches, and then we are going to mark down from that left corner 2 inches. And as you can see here, I am just going to connect those 2 dots together. So I'm creating almost like a curve, because as you know, our necklines are curved. So I'm using my ruler and just kind of angling it around to create almost like a U shape for that back neckline. But you can definitely use a better tool or something. I just wanted to keep it simple for you guys. Once that's all done, we are actually going to now move on to the belt for our robe. So this can be as long as you want, as wide as you want. For my pattern, I did 2 inches wide and 34 inches long, but again, you can totally customize it. Now we are going to take that back neckline measurement and we are going to add it to our front neckline measurement. So I am grabbing that front pattern piece that I created, and I am going to also measure, so the angled line that we made all the way down to the waist. I'm writing down that measurement, and then from the waist down to the bottom of that front pattern. And so that front and back measurement creates your robe trim, and your robe trim is basically just the front strip of fabric that closes the front of your robe, and that can be as wide as you want it to be. My pattern piece was 5 inches, so that when it folds over, it's actually 2.5 inches wide because I wanted more of a wider band. Okay, so I am now just going to draw that robe trim pattern piece. So again, the length of your front piece and your back piece necklines for the length, and then however wide you want it to be across for the width. Now that the pattern pieces are all cut out, I am actually placing them onto my fabric. So I am doing 1/2 inch seam allowance everywhere except for the hem. The hem seam allowance will actually be 1 inch because I want more of a wider seam. More of a wider finish. You also want to make notches for your waist seams as well, just so that you have something to match up when you're sewing. So this is what everything looks like laid out on my fabric. So for that robe belt pattern piece, I actually had to cut out 4, not 2. So it is 4 pieces for that, guys, not 2. And now we are all ready to start sewing. So I am actually going to start by attaching my front panel to my back panel, and I am just doing this at the sleeve lines at the top. So I'm just stitching that straight across. I'm now attaching the 2 pieces that I cut out for that robe trim. So I'm attaching them along the shorter ends, and then I will also go ahead and attach my robe belt pieces as well. So again, along the shorter ends. And for the robe belt, you are actually going to attach two pieces together and then the other two pieces together, and then you want to sew all four pieces together, but leave a little bit of a space open so that you can pull the fabric out. So pull it from being inside out to right side out, and then I'll show you guys how I do that as well. So before you turn that band right side out, you do want to trim that excess seam allowance. So I cut off about half of the seam allowance. So I cut it down to 1/4 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, so that when you turn it right side out, it's not bulky in the inside. And when you iron it flat, you'll have like a really nice flat rectangle for your robe, your robe belt. I am now going to iron. This is the Robe Trim, so I'm just folding it over and I'm ironing it so that I can prepare it for when it's sewn to the front neckline and the back neckline. And then I'm also ironing those shoulder seams, and I'm matching up the sleeves as well. So we are actually going to just go ahead and pin those sleeve pattern pieces to the front and back. Okay, so here I am just attaching those two sleeve patterns to my robe. So stitching just straight across, right sides to right sides. Now we are actually going to close up the sides of the robe. So I'm taking that sleeve piece and I am just folding it in half, and I am now matching up the side seams, so the front and back side seam. So here I am just folding that sleeve in half. So we are actually going to just stitch from the beginning of that sleeve, and then we are going to meet at the robe. We are then going to pivot and then stitch straight down the robe to close everything up in a single stitch. So literally just a 90-degree angle. So I am just stitching the sleeve, and then once I reach the robe, I am going to pivot. So just turn the fabric and then continue sewing a straight line just to close up the sides of that robe as well. So I later decided to add sleeve trims as well. So these are literally just, I believe they're an inch wide, but just little strips that I use to close up my sleeves for the hemlines. So you can do these as well. I'll have those measurements down below. Otherwise, you can totally just close up the sleeves however you prefer. But the length of those bands is just my sleeve length, and then whatever width you want to use. Mine was an inch. So this is just to give you an idea of what that robe now looks like. So I did go ahead and finish the seams as well, just so that the fabric would stop fraying. And now I am attaching those sleeve trim sort of pieces that I cut out to my sleeve. And I'm just going to stitch all the way around. And I think for this, I did half an inch as well. I am now going to pin that robe trim. So starting with the center back, I am going to pin it all the way around. So again, this is just that strip that we cut out to finish up our neckline. So the front neckline as well as the back neckline. And you just want to pin that strip of fabric all the way across. So from one side to the other. And then just stitch, again, half-inch seam allowance to close up that neckline. We are almost done, you guys. So here I am just finishing up the hemline of the robe. So I marked a line 1 inch up because again, that was my seam allowance, and I am just pinning over that line, and then I will just stitch on my machine, again, 1 inch. Okay, this is the finished look. Let me know what you guys think. Definitely leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.